I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone. Today is January 8th, 2014. It's a special meeting of the Town Council / workshop. It's approximately 9:34. Where can we have roll call, please?
Mayor CORDOVA?
Here.
Councilmember ADJOURNMENT?
Councilmember Baker is here. I'm sorry.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
He said he's on his way.
Okay. Councilmember Peralta?
Here.
Councilmember Silva?
Okay, we do have a forum. Approval of the agenda, members of the council. This is a special meeting, but as you see, we've turned it into a format of a workshop. So and we're here to discuss with no decision the matters of the Sports Alliance. Listen to the presentation of the Sports Alliance and get a motion to approve the agenda. Motion and second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next we'll go to item 4A. We will meet and discuss issues with the Sports Alliance. Members of the board of the Sports Alliance, thank you for asking for this meeting. We're here to listen to your presentation, and thank you also for the work that you do in promoting our sports in our community.
I'd just like to quickly introduce some of the other Sports Alliance board members: Hank Friedman, Peter French, Ellen Archuleta, myself, Mark Yarovitz. We have a couple others that couldn't make it today. I'd just like to make a few opening remarks before we get started. And of course, thank you and the Town Council for supporting us over the last couple of years with our difficult endeavor. There's a few things that we do understand: budget crisis, small town supporting the entire county with its efforts on various levels, the issues of that are more important, health and safety issues that you're dealing with at the same time. But we're here to talk about a long-term plan and the health of the community, and that's kind of where we are. I don't want to make this a lecture or a presentation. I want this to be a dialogue. One of the things that our board is at a crossroads, looking for some help and direction. We feel that this really, for what we want to do in terms of our major economic driver that we think that we're bringing to the town, this really requires top-down support, not bottom-up requests. I think that one of the situations we'd like to know is that if Town Council today and in the future, if they support what we're doing and the opportunities to engage and to improve these positions is very important, and it's a long-term plan. One of the requests we've had is to figure out how to get our board to become self-sufficient over the next few years, and what is our business plan. Well, that's a difficult thing to answer. It's an evolving project, and I want to talk about some of those things. As you know, good ideas are dime a dozen. Any banker will tell you that. Execution of a mediocre plan, well done, is much greater than a lousy job on a great idea. And we would like to execute our plan. We hope it's a great idea, and we think we can improve it. The reason we want to have this meeting, again, is because we feel that the communication between Town Council and what we're doing has been missing. We don't know how much you know. We don't know what you want. And this can't be something that is directed by us on behalf of the town. We are not policy makers. We want to support a policy that you guys are happy with. And that's pretty much what we're here to discuss. We're looking for feedback. And I know that there's a lot of questions on the table in terms of what we're doing and where we're going, and we have the same questions. The successes that we've been able to show so far, we've been very happy with them. The single field, we understand the difficulty of capital improvements, and money has been very tight. So we have one field, and we get calls all the time about, can we play on the field, what's going on. We'll talk about that in a minute. Some of our the spring showcase schedule, we'll talk about that in a minute. the major issue here is, with us, is that we think that sports and recreation as an economic driver is very important to this community. And if that's the support, and if you agree with that, we can move forward. If it's really not that important to town council, what we're doing, it's a difficult road for us. We're looking at all sports, all recreation. I'll give Brian tremendous kudos for his hockey tournaments that do fantastic, a one-man job over there. His bridge tournament that he participated in. Those are some of the things that we like to support. Car shows, softball, baseball, all of the sports. We know that people will travel to Taos and spend their money and leave for all sports and recreation. It's a gift. It's just been fragmented. We'd like to organize it more, have more tournaments and more events. That's what we're about. Right now, our focus has been on soccer for the last couple of years. It was the low-hanging fruit. We have 700 members in the community involved in soccer, and they love that field. And again, thank you for all your support in even getting a FIFA 2-star field here in Taos. I don't know if you understand the significance of what that meant over the last 3 years. One of only 3 fields in the entire United States that got that recognition. The Patriots play on one in New England. The Portland soccer team has one, and I think we have the 3rd one. Is there a 4th one now?
Third. And to put in context, on the entire planet, 37 FIFA 2-star fields.
On the entire planet. And we have one where we have the natural, our other gift is we are at 7,000 feet, so high altitude training and this wonderful field. We'd like to take advantage and move forward with it, but it's not only soccer, it's all the other sports and recreation, and we would even expand that to say, and entertainment. The results from Mumford and Sons were clear.
Well, on that note, the,
Sure.
what about at this altitude? Aren't we the top
Yes, we are the highest FIFA 2-star field
in the nation?
in the world. In the world. And again, we have not been able to promote it. FIFA promoted it with press releases. Sportex, the company that put in the material, has been promoting it around the world, getting credit for it. We're the only field, I think, that's gotten a FIFA 2 certification 3 years in a row. The maintenance that went on in that field was fabulous to get that certification. And Sportex paid $100,000 each year to get that certification on their own, so they could advertise it. I mean, we have such a great, and again, but I want to make sure you understand our response to the RFP was about mostly the park and the field. But our endeavor really should be county-wide with all sports. I know that the softball league is having issues with some county control issues. Why aren't there more softball fields and softball tournaments? That brings in huge money. It has to be organized and focused. And again, the fragmented way we approach things in this community is why we're not more successful. Our group is trying to get behind. If a taekwondo group wants to have a tournament, our group would be there to be infrastructure to support them, to put on a big tournament if we only had more manpower and more exposure. It's those kind of things. So with that, our group is doing 2 things. The big picture, and then we're playing small ball. Those of you who play basketball know what I'm talking about. We're doing turkey trots and the Grand Fondo and working with Brian's Hockey. We're doing a lot of things that we're trying to accumulate to do them over and over again. Once we establish an event, it can be repeated every year. And it'd be nice to have 3 or 4 events a month, repeated every year. The response from people that want to come to Taos to participate in these things is huge. They don't want to go to Cleveland or Escamilla. They want to come to Taos to participate. And the economic outcome of that. The other components that we're always talking about in terms of quality of life issues in the community. The diabetes issues and the overweight kids and getting them off the couch, gang violence because there's no participation, nothing for them to do. Those are all part of our program. We've identified, I think what we presented to you was a 40-page document that I prepared in 2008, Sports and Recreation as Economic Development. We identified 3 different things in there. Again, using Brian, sorry to confuse you too much today, but you know, my favorite story is he had a kid who had a choice of being on probation or getting up at 5:30 in the morning to play hockey. And that kid went through that program with Brian, got B's in school, and graduated high school instead of being a $35,000 a year drain on the economy because he's in probation. I mean, for every one of those stories, there's intrinsic money that can be counted on, but it's not in our pocket. But that's the wellness for the community. We'll talk about job creation and bringing in groups here with the results looking for employees. Why would they come to Taos to open up a small business where they could hire 5 or 10 people? It's about quality of life, and that's one of our main components. So again, I didn't want to turn this into a presentation or a lecture. I just wanted to present, we'll look at the big picture and then our daily grind of what we're trying to accomplish. And we feel that we need better communication. There might be some ideas that you guys have, say, hey, I was at a convention and we heard about this. Can you guys work with us on that? The answer is of course. We want this top-down support. We can't be begging from the bottom all the time. It doesn't work well. This is a major economic platform, we think. What are our natural assets in Taos? And if you looked at that, I recently just reread just the executive summary of the Elite Partners Economic Development Action Plan, and they've identified that as well. And Bill Stevens, I don't know if you've gotten his reports. Why can this economy grow? What would support it? He said, do what you're doing. Quality of life issue is what brings the economic growth. And so those are not measurables so much in terms of what did we do and what were the results. So what we want to do is discuss an open dialogue here with you and talk about all these things that we want to do and how can we get there. Our business model, our business plan that was presented to you, it doesn't say much. I talked with Oscar about it. It's like, well, we're supposed to take credit for gross receipts tax? No. I mean, how many kids did we help go to college because they participated in something? I mean, those are not measurables. I would like the council, if they want, I would love it to have the town council set up some method for measuring results from our activities. They're not easily measured. They're not quantifiable. So with that, I just want to turn it over a little bit to, also they heard just one thing, this was in the Albuquerque Journal, I believe. I don't know if any of you saw this article, or this advertisement in the Albuquerque Journal. Basically it says, unrivaled beauty that packs an economic punch. Voters believe that we should be creating new public parks and expand outdoor opportunities. The outdoor industry generates $646 billion annually and supports 68,400 jobs in New Mexico. This was an Albuquerque Journal. Entrepreneurs are increasingly relocating to New Mexico because of its outdoor way of life. These are facts. This is from the Albuquerque Journal. And so I think supporting this platform, it's a long-term process to identify opportunities and keep expanding them. But, we're just a volunteer group of half a dozen people and we're banging our heads against the wall and it's not easy. We'd like to know that not just, yes, thank you for the check every month, that helps, but we really want more support than just, money doesn't buy everything. I mean, we're a $1,000 an hour volunteer group by our professions that will be working a lot of hours. And so, and if this doesn't, ring your bell, if this isn't really what you want to do, we can understand that. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to us to communicate directly about how you feel, where we can go. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? What needs do your constituents tell you? They're all going to tell you, baseball, baseball, baseball. Why are you messing with soccer all the time? We agree. We now have the baseball team at the semi-pro league playing here in Taos, and they're going to expand their schedule. They love it here. And that was done, our fearless leader, name unknown, brought that single-handedly to Taos, working with the school and getting a semi-pro team here in Taos. How amazing is that? I don't know if you understand the significance of that, and they love it here. And they also can now sell beer at the high school to support them. They managed to get that through the school district too. So,
and who is this?
Justin.
Justin.
just want to, I know he's in a difficult position with all the things he's doing, pros and cons, but he did that single-handedly. Negotiated that entire and they put in, and negotiated the lights that they put in so they could play at night. Those are just, are they in already, or?
Just about.
They're just about in.
They're almost finished.
So they're gonna be able to play night games. I mean, that's fantastic to use those facilities. So,
And it has the added advantage by adding lights is the baseball team. They have lots of teams who want to come up and play in Taos, but with no artificial light, you know, you're limited by, okay, yeah, we can, I guess, come on a Saturday, but there's only so many Saturdays. This way with lights, you have teams that can come up, they can play a doubleheader, play a varsity JV on a weekday, and have lights.
yeah, and some of these players, they're here one day and next week they're on the LA farm team and the next week you see them pitching on TV. The difference is, I was told, between the bottom 1,000 baseball players and the top 300 that make it to the big leagues, the difference in skill levels is this much. I mean, the team that's playing here is excellent, and it just takes a little bit of luck and perseverance to jump from the Taos, Z League up to AAA and even into the big league. It doesn't take much, and it's really, I'm really impressed with that. So, with that, I just want to let Pete French talk a little bit about the spring showcase we're putting on this year, just because we haven't updated you on that. And again, it's a little bit different, but I'll let Pete take some of that first.
Again, thanks everyone for their time. We're focusing on 2 weekends, 2 Saturdays in April, April 5, April 19th. As you all know, men's Lobo UNM went to the Final Four in Philadelphia in the NCAA's, which is the real feather in their captain for the state. And they're going to come and play twice. They've been working with the coaches there. And they're going to play Denver, DU on the 5th. And then also on the 5th, we're going to have Adams State, Rio, which is an Albuquerque club team. And Fort Lewis is coming down as well. And they're going to play round robin. And then on the 19th, UNM with Bellum, they're coming back to play, and they're going to play Fort Lewis. And Fort Lewis is very excited about it. They're really geared up because of their lower level, as you know, and so they're going to be geared. If they can beat UNM, it'll be quite something. And then Adams State women, Highlands women, and Pueblo women are coming down, also to play round robin on that Saturday. We're in touch with UNM women, and the spring schedules are really dynamic, and the coaches have been great. But every single one of them said, we want to come and play in Taos. How can we do it? When we do it, we'll do what we can. UNM, the men's team, now they're being courted to travel the country in the spring and paid, the program's paid to fly, to go to Creighton and play Creighton. And it's going to raise the level of soccer in the state because of the attraction that the Lobos are getting. And so we're going to have them here for 2 games, and that's quite something if we can get some more. So it's not going to be the
Circus.
big circus of events and tents that we've had before. We told the coaches, all of them, we want to come here and play. Treat us well. The players love coming here. Some of the players have connections to Taos. Having played here in high school, come up and play here in high school, probably they're from Taos players that obviously gone on to big successes. So that's what we're going to do, but each one is, depending on what happens with Air Force women and a couple of other teams that may expand into that weekend of the 12th too. That's all over state of Taos. But the overwhelming positive comments from all the coaches are, we want to come to Taos, how can we do it and fit into their schedule too. So, along with that, I'd like to touch on what Mark said, is, there's a National Park and Recreation Association. There's been multiple studies over the years that continually come back with parks and recreation and programs for youth, strengthen the town or municipalities' basic population so much, and in the short run and long run, cost the community so much less than, you know, as Mark said, keeping one or two kids out of, off probation. It's an enormous amount, but it's not always money that's directly in the bank account. But, you know, the kids from here that are going on to college or wherever they have in their careers, they've got a strength of what they've developed from all those different athletic activities and sporting activities. Brian's seen it, I'm sure, time and time again by the alumni that come back and are out of shape and playing the alumni game, but they brag about playing in Taos. Well, there's hockey in Taos. I mean, you're up in Vancouver, which my godson was, and he had learned about Canadian hockey, but they said, yeah, we were state champs. And
How many times were they state champs? Is
well,
what,
in those, there were 4, and then Brian's added another 4 or 5. to that.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing stuff.
It's quite something. You know, the rest of the state looks up to Taos hockey program and the facility that we got here. So that's a quick recap on that.
I just want to add one more thing. We don't have a professional team, you know, it's either Dallas or Denver, you know, in terms of New Mexico and Taos, but the Lobos is our home team, right? Whether it's baseball, football, basketball, and the men's, and the soccer team surpassed everyone being in the quarterfinal, and they want to come up here. That's our, so we focused our spring not on just having them once, we got them to come up twice, because that's the big draw in this community. People will come out and watch the Lobos. They're not going to, you know, knock down doors to see Adams State play Colorado College, but the Lobos, when they come, that's serious. So we think we're going to have some pretty good results. Any questions or other comments?
I was going to add one more thing. Michael Hensley and I are approached at the state soccer tournament, and they said,
And he's a professional referee, by the way.
not quite professional because I'd be earning my living, I wish. I keep shooting for that goal. But Michael Hensley and I are approached by the representative of the High School Soccer Coaches Association to go, can we hold the tournament up at Taos? How many fields do you guys have? Unfortunately, we don't have enough fields. They need 4. But the state soccer tournament is boys and girls, 3 classifications, 8 teams per classification, 3-day tournament. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And again, going back to Mark's earlier comment, I understand limitations of capital and what we could do, but that's the reach. I mean, we didn't go to them. We were getting ready for our semifinal game, and representatives stopped by to talk to us.
Yeah, how can you move the tournament up to Taos? We don't like Albuquerque's fields.
Oh,
We
they
don't
hate
like
the APS complex.
They don't like it. And they want to come up here. What can we do to get you to move the tournament up here? It's like, oh, man, they're coming. I mean, even the one day we're having, the April 5th day, when the Lobos are coming up, we didn't really plan for that day. And they said, we're going to come up anyway and play. We're going to play Denver. We're going to come up anyway. We don't need any fanfare. We just want to come up and play in Taos. So we're going to expand that program on the 5th. So it's really happening, but it's, you know, this is not an overnight, this is called a 10-year overnight success, as you know. I just want to bring up one more thing, and then I'll turn over to questions. What is the long-term plan? How do we, our exit strategy, how do we become self-sufficient? We've batted this around a lot. And we have come to the conclusion that the sports and recreation of this community really needs to be a county, town-wide situation. We understand that it's not fair for the town to support us to do things for the entire community. We understand that. We've seen the numbers. The county has, we got a few bucks out of the lodger's tax at the county, but not a whole bunch. And we're going to go to the county, and I know this is difficult to be between the town and the county right now and some dual support, but that's where we're going next. And one of the things we decided was our long-term goal for success is we need financial and political independence. We can't be subject to the change of administrations every 2 or 3 years who have a different opinion of what we're doing. It's very difficult to to build programs that go for 5 or 10 years and then have a misguided election cut us off. That could happen at any time. And what we would like to do, and one of our requests is, we're hoping to go into legislature in 2015 with there's already, I don't want to go into the details of legislation, you all know how it works and what's going on. We feel that we can create a sports and recreation, maybe / entertainment district that is an independent agency with its own methods for funding and support, so that neither the town nor the county is required to be the only one that helps us, stay alive. We'd like to take that approach so that our long-term goal would be to do that in such a way as we would love to take over the Youth and Family Center and run that out of our budget. We would love to support entertainment. We would love to do any of the things that cross over town and county that could be part of this district. And I know it's a blue sky, pie in the sky wish, but we're going to pursue that. And I understand that our local politicians would like to, we understand that money has to be done regionally now. It can't be done independently, and you have to work together. And I know these are difficult issues. You read the paper, some of it's true. So I know what's going on, but that's our long-term goal as an exit strategy. We would like your support, at least to get to that point where we can become independent. That is really our long-term goal, whether it's legislation in 2015 during the long session and what it takes to activate that afterwards, I don't know. But that is our main exit strategy. Otherwise, it's very difficult for us to generate funds outside of what we're doing. Every dollar that comes in goes right back on with other programs. So any other comments from my group here? Do you want to say anything? We'll leave it open for questions. Yes?
No questions, just to make some comments. I've been around the whole process with Taos Sports Alliance. I'm fully committed to it. When times get hard, a lot of us tend to back off and step back and say, the economy's hard and money's tight and I'm going to step back. But I have a high school coach that used to say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And I really do believe that. And I'm still fully committed to the Eco Park. I believe that you really have two goals right now. Your short-term goal is to work on becoming self-sufficient. And as I did a quick read of your business plan, I clearly see that the long-term goal is to get the second and eventually the third deal. And when we look at the economy of Taos, it's always been a tourism-based economy, a ski colony, or an art colony. The mayor's been working hard to make it an educational destination. We're collaborating with UNM-Taos, and we're headed the right way. It doesn't always happen at the speed we would like it, but now with sports and recreation and entertainment, as you're calling it, Mark, we really need to grab that by the hands, and we need to nurture it, and we need to grow it. And the argument could be made that government has no business in helping small business succeed, but this is a business endeavor. It's an economic arm. It's a diversification of the economic base of Taos. Ideas like, Mr. Bacon is purchasing Taos Ski Valley this week. Montes Alvarado is about to be sold. The Sagebrush is just sold. The market's coming back, folks, and things are starting to look positive. And now is the golden opportunity to rejuvenate our effort with Taos Sports Alliance and make sure that we start heading down the right road. Because what we did is we came on board strong, and then we sort of just let it do this, partially driven by the economy. I'm hoping that my fellow elected officials here are as committed as I am to this. I believe they are. And let's work together. And Oscar and I had a very long discussion just a couple of days ago about how the town can't continue to fund everybody, but at the same time, how do some of these entrepreneurs get going if they don't have some assistance somewhere? So I would argue that if we were to cut you off at the knees now, it would be a terrible mistake. We got to continue to work with you. We got to continue to fund you. We got to continue to help you become self-sufficient. And 5 or 10 years from now, this Eco Park could be the best thing not only in Taos and New Mexico, but even the frickin' nation. And we have that potential here, but we can't give up when the goal gets tough.
Thank you, Councilor Bishop. When we did this endeavor, it's clearly because we wanted to diversify the economic base and support the ultimate goal of making Taos a destination for high altitude athletics. So I'm committed to seeing how this goes through, We also are tasked, what are the results? What are the results and how do you quantify them? And it's tough. It's tough for y'all folks to quantify those results. I know it firsthand. I do events, and when people ask me, well, how do you know it's creating that great? I mean, you get frustrated. There's a sense of frustration that I feel that because you see the results, you see, but how do you quantify those? And that's when you have to cross over lines of elected officials, and some people maybe not be on board as much as others, and that's a tough situation for you. But I've seen it firsthand where, who would ever thought that NCAA game would be played in Taos? I mean, that's huge for Taos. Being in the Albuquerque Journal touted as, one of the best fields in the world as far as this altitude. So, I'm committed to that. I think that we're on the right track as far as, building the first field now. Because of the economy and because of our infrastructure needs as well, we have to look at where do we go from here as far as do we put all our money in this field? Do we, some of the streets, the infrastructure, matching grants that we're able to get and leverage to bring in infrastructure. So that's what we're tasked with. And how is the field holding up? How is the field holding up? One of my questions, and I'll return to that after.
Yeah, the field is holding up well. With greatly with assistance from the town in funding La Tierra Landscaping, Freddie Ruiz has done a very good job given his budget. The surface, one of the reasons why all the high school coaches hate the APS complex is the fields went in a year before the Eco Park, maybe 2, and they are rock solid. It's a synthetic turf. I think this floor is softer than the fields of APS. So the maintenance has helped to maintain the field. And quite honestly, if we had not done the maintenance, we would have the FIFA 2-star for 3 years. It was really, when you looked at, I saw the report that came back from the field testing company, and basically what they said, to paraphrase, is, well, it's obviously you guys follow the maintenance schedule.
Well, that's what I want to make sure that we're doing, because it's too much of an investment to let it go, and then we can end up losing quite a bit of money for trying to save in maintenance costs. So then we get to the topic of town and county, in talking to our manager and realizing what reality is the town of Taos is taking the lead on a lot of these things, and with good reason. To provide these kind of services, and it really is time for the county to really do that paradigm shift to start helping promote such events. I mean, we're bearing the 100% burden of the youth and family center, the library, the sports. I'm glad to see that they gave you some modern facts, and that's a good thing to promote the events. But at some point, when is we as a small town municipality gonna, realize that we can't subordinate all of the Taos County uses for all of our facilities? So there has to be some type of collaboration with the county pitching into such a huge endeavor such as this. I mean, it benefits. We are the county. This municipality is part of the county, and so I think that those talks, really need to be resonated loud and clear through the county that it's time to start forging these partnerships.
That's our plan.
We're going to the county. We've been asked to do a presentation there. We're just gearing up. We're waiting for the New Year's to get out of the way. And we're going to talk to them about what's going on. I dare say that if you counted how many kids live in the town limits versus how many kids live outside of the town limits, I would say that it's probably 90-10.
It's no different than the use of the youth and family center or the library. Majority of the users are from outside the town.
Right, we understand that. We understand the difficulty of the position you're in. That's why we want to go for a major district. I know it's going to be
And our infrastructure is burdened greatly by the use of the ski valley, which benefits the county. And that's why we have to really reallocate some of those resources to improve our infrastructure, and while balancing it with the need of diversifying our economic base through sports tourism. So I think that, that conversation has to, start sooner than later, not to say that we're gonna step back, but we're committed. And I believe this council is committed to seeing this thing, move forward and what can we do to enhance it. But you ask yourself, what one service does the county provide its constituents other than a big building to pay your taxes, your property taxes? I don't see a whole lot of other.
Here's the answer.
I don't see it.
Charge more property tax.
And work, the town of Taos, municipalities throughout the state for that matter, take the lead in providing these additional services. And I'm proud to say that we have some of the best facilities in the state. If you look at our hockey complex, and the program that is born out of it. So it's clear that the results, just by looking at them, while you may not have quantifiable results on paper, it's clear that this program would not be there had previous councils, previous mayors not built that youth and family center to the degree that it is now. And I think that's where we are with the soccer complex. While we couldn't build it out to its full potential, I think we're on the right track, but where do we get these resources, given our commitment to the Youth and Family Center, given our commitment to the library, challenge programs, the multiple buildings for the nonprofit? It gets tough.
But we're not looking for just money. We would really like town council to physically and verbally support us, talk about what's going on, and be almost a partner in what we're doing. Because this is really a major economic platform that we think, that we hope that you are supporting out loud. We don't mind doing the dirty work, but we would like more than just who is the TSA and what have they done for us lately. We would like this to be a mutual collaboration, and it can't be just a group of volunteers trying to succeed with this. There's a high rate of burnout with volunteers, as you know, and we're constantly growing and changing, but we really need that kind of support, not just money. It has to be mentioned. And, we're talking about our program. We kind of stayed under the radar for a while we tried to get things going. And now we're talking about going to all the different clubs in town, the Rotary, the Kiwanis, the high school, the this, that. Who is the TSA? What the hell are they doing? And why are they doing it? And who died and left them in charge? And we don't want it to be that way. We want it to be a county-wide collaboration of, softball or baseball, or fishing in the Rio Grande, the hot air balloon rallies. Shelley does her car thing every year and brings in 300-400 people from out of town driving all those interesting cars. You've seen the Telluride model. Every weekend they've got something going there. They have 2 weekends in the summer where they have put up signs that says nothing can happen on this weekend.
And it happens.
We need a weekend off. They are so busy generating activity, and they come and spend money and leave, but they have a quiet weekend in the middle so they can rest and collect their thoughts. And I'd like to approach that, the Mumford and Sons experiment. Why wouldn't that happen, once a month for 4 or 5 months? That's huge money. Figure out the logistics of the police and fire, but, that's those kind of things. People don't know that they could come up to Taos and that you would support those kind of endeavors. The Taos County Economic Development Center had a symposium a month ago on sustainable agricultural, and there was 300 people that showed up for their event. I had no idea. Why did I know? There's so much great things going on that can be supported and not be fragmented. That's what we're trying to do, is to get, so we can help everybody. That's the goal here.
I think, Mark, that your philosophy is terrific. But I think that you're spreading yourselves too thin. We do support the Eco Park. The problem is that we are a partnership because we built the park. The idea here is, though, that we are not operators of the park. And so we're looking at the TSA as operating that for us, and you're doing that. The question here is, what is the
as you see it from your side of the partnership, in a sense, what is the long-term goal and how can it be achieved? And so, I mean, this is what we're here to talk about today.
Right.
And everything you're talking about is all interrelated, there's no question about that. And that's important to the community as a whole, but you can't be everything to everybody. There's not enough of you as volunteers in the city for enough. So I'm saying is that the goal of what we're doing here is how do we get the Eco Park to be sustainable? Because we can only put so much resources into it, and then that's as far as we can go, given our obligation in all the other areas that we're talking about. So, in a sense, we need to have more interrelationships, in a sense, that you're talking about between the arts and cultures and the outdoors people. And I'm talking about those that are not necessarily considered to be organized sports kind of things, you know, the rafters, balloon rides. We can go on forever naming things and coming to that. But what we need to do is say is if one of the major goals that we're looking at here is trying to make the Eco Park the success we're talking about, to bring in other entities and such as the state soccer tournament or whatever it might be, or even regional tournaments and that sort of thing that require more resources than we currently have or can currently provide, then how do we go out and find the other private partners that could be out there that may be able to help us, and how do we work together to get those things to happen? And hopefully at some point in time we can get the county to come along with us. You know, I don't know how much they gave you in lodging costs, but I told you.
Average 6,000.
Yeah. And you can't use that other than trying to promote the field, so it really doesn't help in some of the things that you need to do operationally to support the events that are outside of promoting it. So it's a difficult situation that you're in and we're in, but we were here together. And so we need to figure out some way that we can make this a successful operation. And one of the things is we have to see what kind of baby steps we need to move forward. And so how do we bring in advertisers or promoters or I should say sponsors for these events that we can use to subsidize the need that we have to support things like creating a reserve fund that we can eventually put in some locker rooms. You know, I understand and I know and I hear all of the things that are necessary of the Eco Park for it to be a success. And I know the concerns about people who want to use it who feel that we don't have enough facility, even though in one field that we do have, that we need to work on it. And so this is where I'm saying that we need the reason for this workshop is try to pull our heads together to say, how can we create what you're asking for, which is that single front of approach to the world in the sense of where we want to go with this and how we can get it to make it the best it possibly can be. And so this is where we're saying that's not what we can do. We're hoping that your interaction with the world, in a sense, can bring some of that back to us to say, okay, now let's sit down and see how we can fabricate that program going forward.
We can execute if we know you're standing behind us. And we're not sure because we've got mixed signals over the last year or so in terms of, going forward, going backwards, budget crunches, more serious matters than the park that are on your plate right now. So that's why we wanted to hear and talk. In fact, the next baby step is to discuss the locker rooms. Manager Rodriguez brought to our attention that maybe the TSA could be the guiding force on developing the locker rooms that are so really needed because it's kind of hard to change your clothes in a bus. And those things, and we discussed it, and at the moment, I don't know what the proper protocol is. We said we would be happy to manage that to make sure we get the right facility at the right price, but in fact, that's currently on the table. We just recently had a discussion about it. I don't know where it is today. For an RFP, are we the provider of the management of it? Your complicated the way that your procurement code baffles me from time to time, being in the private sector. Just, got to do it, write the check, and you get it done. But you guys have, and part of the school, and it's a joint venture with the school. So that is one of the questions on the table that I had, which is the next baby step is, I don't know, we would like to manage that process. We don't know how that happens. Do we have to answer another RFP? Are we a sole source provider? Can you just give us the money to go get it built? I don't know. And we're working with Mr. Kennebeck, who was going to, again, I wait until the New Year's was over. We were going to get together and talk about some great ideas that he had. I'm still kind of confused on what the steps are. And weeks will go by and I still don't know what the program is and how to get there. Maybe you can enlighten us and give us an idea of, you have the money here and we're sitting here and we want to build locker rooms, right?
Nothing changes.
Nothing's changed. Okay, so I don't know what the next baby step is for us to take.
So I think what we need to do as a council is decide, what are we gonna do with that money? What was it allocated for? And I know that there was some unfinished business, so to speak, by virtue of unfinished items on the punch
There's
list.
the irrigation and the drainage, which I think we can
And
take
are
care
those a
of.
priority, are they not a priority?
I believe those two, if I remember Steve Kennebeck's presentation, was those two items have been addressed.
Okay.
How much money is left on the table?
I think it's in round numbers.
280.
Yeah.
So
Do we
that's
have
$280,000. What are the priorities from a staff level recommendation? And it's going to be up to this council to reallocate those funds or allocate those funds proportionately to whatever the priorities based on recommendations from the board of the Sports Alliance and recommendations of staff. And I guess we haven't heard that. We've heard some ideas, but we haven't heard solid recommendations. We've seen your recommendations. We've seen, we see what you're requesting here, but we haven't heard the recommendations from staff as to what unfinished items need to be done. Are they fully addressed? I know some have been done. So what is staff recommendation?
I think also I sit on the Town Taos Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, so I'm wearing two hats here, and we had that same discussion. I thought we presented, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we presented a position from that group of what we wanted to do to go forward. Steve Kennebeck was at our meetings, we talked about it and looked at some of the options, and I think both groups and town, I think we've agreed that locker rooms are the main necessity right now.
Those are the restrooms.
No.
Locker rooms.
Team changing rooms.
Separate proposal for restrooms.
Well, they would have a restroom inside.
Yeah.
We're talking about, so far, in my own idea, it's 2 800 square foot locker rooms side by,
Yeah, I
attached as one
remember seeing
building
that.
with a couple of bathrooms and some things to hang up your clothes in.
I remember seeing that, and I was, in Florida, when they said it was gonna cost $800,000.
Well,
There are some alternatives.
Yeah.
Well, that floors me too, because like I say, I crack the whip in the private sector, and the way the governments have to spend their money through the procurement code just drives me insane.
Sure.
So that's why I'm asking the question. The quote is $250 a square foot. If the government builds it, we can do it for $100 a quarter.
Sure.
So I don't know how to get there. That's one of the topics on the table is, I know, people, home builders who can build wonderful stuff for $100 a square foot now.
Sure.
So why would an 800 square foot locker room cost any more than $100,000?
Sure.
I don't know.
Well, did you see Town Hall was $390,000 a square foot? I think the judicial complex was about $400 a square foot. Ridiculous.
And I've seen the layers
Depends
of
what your
bureaucracy
architect
that
wants.
stick their hand, I've seen the layers of bureaucracy that stick their hands in your pocket along the way.
The architect, the higher the price, the higher the.
Well, that's
We want a 101 facility. We don't need a PhD level.
I even talked about, can we get some, does the school have any of the, those modular classrooms? They're about 1,600 square foot.
They use them
Give me a
all.
couple of bathrooms, put a dividing wall in there, and we're done. I mean,
But you
What?
said, as long as you can buy portable buildings that are completely equipped the way you want,
right?
for about $75 to $100 square foot.
And
The question is that what you want out on the field now? Okay, so in your proposal to the town, you have to say, maybe what we really need to do to make this happen is the town going to accept some portable buildings out there that are locker rooms. In other words, they're basically modular buildings that are dropped in on the side. They're not going to look architecturally like the rest of the facility. So that's one of the issues that you have with the architect who designs this thing. He says, no, I don't want to hurt my Taj Mahal look by something else, but that's not to say that it can't happen. I'm trying to say is that here are some of the things that can be done, is that do some research, you can find these things, you can go out for bid on them, and the price is going to come in where you probably need to come in. It just depends on which way you go. If you go with an architect, you don't go with an architect.
I'm a functionalist, just make it work.
And Counselor, that's one idea. Another idea that can be researched is, why can't we do it self-help? Why can't we do it in-house and design it and get it built? And probably still do it for quite a
There's all kinds of options. I don't know what your protocol is. Can you just say, here's the money, go get it done? Or do you have to go out and bid everything?
So I think two things need to come out of this meeting, direction to staff on as to what we're gonna do with that money. A portion of that money. And that may take an RFP, comply with our, because we have to figure out how to get it from government to the private sector, because government doing it is gonna cost way too much.
Right.
So do we do a RFP for management of the fields like we did? Likely you'll be the only one responding, but we have to comply with that. And included in that is possible, of course, our legal counsel will have to tell us how do we do just an RFP just for that, since we already have you in place with your existing RFP, but an entity that can build facilities for under $100,000. Do we put that as a? So I think direction has to be to staff and this council that do we want to see something along those lines so that we can vote on it and say, this is what we want, and this is done, this will get us the lockers, with this allocation of money.
With that direction, we could then do the research. I already had contacted three firms that do nothing but build modular locker rooms around the country for sporting places. And the price range is, from $100 to $300 a square foot, depending on,
How many bells and whistles?
and, do you want polished granite countertops in there or not?
Sure.
So how do you talk to the school? The last time we talked to you, then
That wasn't my charge, I believe. Who was going to talk to the school board about seeing if they would,
Last we talked, we'll take context here. Last we talked, the school themselves was considering some kind of construction.
right.
Because we have the same architect, the school, town, is you guys as well. And we thought that we could just collaborate, piggyback on that effort, and then the town would just contribute cash to the school, and we would all get done that way. So
That's a possibility. We didn't get very far. I mean, I don't need an architect for a locker room.
See, government to government,
It-
that's easy.
Yeah, it depends.
I mean,
I don't know what's going on here.
Well,
What's the school want out of this?
there's a JPA with the school. They own the land under the property, so we have a,
No, I understand that.
Right, but the other issue, I think part of the reason why the school's tied into this is, right now, when we have a lightning delay, during the high school soccer game, we do not have proper shelter. That shed roof, whatever you want to call it, while it looks great, it's nice to hang out with, does not qualify as proper shelter.
No.
So from speaking as a high school soccer coach, we really need a proper place to keep the kids safe and the coaches.
And the spectators.
Spectators go car. I mean, quite honestly, spectators are on their own. My concern are my charges. Well, no, because I'm not responsible for an adult. I mean, you've seen adults at sporting events. Do you want to be responsible for that?
Well, let me back up a little bit. We actually are responsible for it.
there is a responsibility.
Okay.
You can't just say, because you're a spectator, you're not.
Right, but you have a car you can go to.
But through parks,
Doesn't
through parks,
necessarily give them the liability.
negligent.
Oh,
Okay, so if you're going to do something that creates a protection, you have to do it for anybody that's on the field. Okay, so I'm just saying is that you might have locker rooms that are shoulder to shoulder, which is okay, but just understand that you have a responsibility to anybody that's on that property if there's an issue with safety. Okay, you have to take care of everybody, so you can't discount this. And so this, to my question is, I'm looking for some help. So if the schools are interested in being involved in this thing, not only architectural-wise, but is there a little bit of leftover funds that they didn't use for the lights of the baseball field?
There is.
That they could help us with to help you with your project, okay? This is the kind of partnership I'm looking for. What kind of resources can we find? And if we have to turn over stones, we'll turn over the stones that we look at that we don't think we can move, maybe we can. And that's where the collaboration.
Well, we want to do that. We haven't really been given much direction whether or not we would even allocate any funds to the locker rooms or not. We have to get that first step out of the way. Then we can say, go to the school board and say, we'd like to participate. Now, so Dr. Weston had his own issues for a couple of weeks. We couldn't approach him.
So on that note, let's get some clarification right there. Is it the priority of the council to allocate some funds and have staff research partnership potential with the school and to allocate some of the portion of that fund and we could put it out not this next meeting, but the next meeting to have a presentation what it would take and what is the best method?
Well, Mr. Mayor, if TSA is telling us that their next major baby step is the locker rooms, and the other two items, irrigation and whatever, have been addressed, I don't see any problem whether we make a decision in the next regular meeting or one after to allocate either a portion of or possibly all of it to that effort. And, you know, let's look at the environment we have now. We actually have a cooperative school board, unlike the previous school board that we couldn't get anything done, and they have money. They're doing projects every day. A big engineer is engineering all kinds of things for them. Now is the time to strive and collaborate with the school, and maybe we'll partner and work with the
Bring the lights at the baseball field for us.
To the credit of the previous school board, we did enter into disagreement.
Okay.
So they weren't nearly as bad as the county. So
I guess what I'm.
we're able to do something with that. You know,
I guess what I'm really trying to say is the environment exists now with the current school board, but right now, we don't have much luck with it.
Right, so does the dialogue come from town council to the school board, or do we go in behind closed doors and talk? I mean, I don't know.
I'd be willing to go hand in hand with the sports chairman to go once we have a proposal from staff as to how we want to approach it. So I think that's the direction of the.
One of our thoughts was, I think, with the money that's sitting on the table, that is a project, and then the remainder, the balance of what may not be used to build a locker room / press box. Our desire would be to have that still somehow be the TSA, so we can continue to build some other programs and or doing else. Starting at the top, passing.
Well, I think what we need to have from you is 2 or 3 projects that are good priority in order of priority. So if the locker rooms is number 1, press box is number 2, and I don't know, PA system is number 3 or whatever it might be, and I'm just throwing out a concept, then that's what we need to have, and then kind of just a ballpark budget, right? And saying, so that we know that we have $280,000, what's going to be all this, it's going to take all that to do the locker room, then we know what the next project is that we have to try to figure out how we can fund, and we continue to work together to make those things happen. But that's kind of where we're talking about, those are the kind of the long-term business plans we're asking for, say, here's where we need to go, and here's how we think that we can make some partnerships happen, or ideas about it, and that keeps the momentum going.
I think we understand that, part of what Mark said is the support from the council, so we go forward, so yes, based on these programs, we go forward, and we're hearing that today. It's a lucky thing we're hearing that today, and then we go forward with the other discussions with the school board and the county. We're not laying off the county, we all feel strongly that they need to support all of these things as much. and that we have to have that recognition, not just lip service, but coming from some budget source that they may not have.
I can count 2.5 votes at the county right now, so.
And you know, this $280,000 were part of a larger pot of settlement money,
Right.
Eco Park money.
Was that Mark Ford?
I as one council have absolutely no problem saying that that whole 280 can be used for the Eco Park. You tell us, like as the council said, you tell us the priorities, you find the partners, and let's get 1, 2, or 3 projects.
Let me add one more project that was brought to our attention, but we haven't fleshed it out. We were offered, and it's still on a regular basis, the second field, if we could prepare the dirt. There's a moving road show, several of them around the country, that bring in grass. They roll it out, they use it for 2 days, and then they throw it away. Football field size of this stuff. There's a group in Denver and a group in Texas. We were addressed that said the next time they have a 3-day event in Denver where they bring in all this turf and they roll it out, would you like it? And we truck it down here and set it in the field. I mean, that would require us, we would have a grass field, which we've debated about the validity of that. We haven't fleshed this out. What would it take to prepare just the dirt and lay out the turf? Again, it's another idea, but it was a distraction. As Councilor Peralta, as you said, we're a little bit thin. But here was another fantastic idea for a free turf field if we could get the dirt prepped, ready to accept it when it was, here's this event, and they're going to throw it away. Just another idea that's on the table.
And that's a good idea, Mark, but the only concern I would have for that is if we did that,
How would you
then
take
we
it?
become complacent to not do what we're doing.
Which is,
And we've had those same questions.
we've argued that both sides of the story. Again, it's just another idea that's on the table in front of us, and it's like, what direction do we take?
And I think that this council has always proved to, we have no problem using local funds to match. If it's a lucrative idea that we feel is going to bring us benefit, then let's use some local funds, even if it means, looking elsewhere within our budget. If that's going to mean bringing some $3 from somewhere, we'll look at it.
We're not sure it's a great idea yet, but again, it was just brought to our attention. Here's an opportunity. Do we want to water a field?
The operational cost going forward.
Clean it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what some people.
Recycle it from the 10-inch line, on salary side.
That was not the other consideration.
It's only money, it's only money, right? It's only
Grade
money.
3 soccer, what are we gonna do?
It's like the
We
free
run
bucket.
forward for a decade.
Yeah. That's my fear becoming the spread.
I'd like to come out of this meeting, knowing that we're gonna have staff bring us some priorities from the CSA with this money that's left over to reallocate some priorities that the CSA recommend. Staff will work on how procurement is best matched with that on those priorities, or not this meeting on the 14th, but the following. So if that's something that we come out of here, and then I guess what we'd like to do is see also maybe a brief summary as to what kind of support I think you're saying that there's mixed messages, and I think there's never mixed messages that we don't want to support that. It's just we want to see, okay, what are we supporting, and what is the model moving forward? What is the ultimate goals and objectives? And if they're not quantifiable, well, how are we measuring that? When people are, you're going to have people that support this, and you're going to have people that criticize it. Why are you supporting that? You're not supporting this. And we as elected officials want to be able to say, this is why we're supporting this, and moving forward. I think I've never seen anybody say that we just don't want to support that. So I think that's what we'd like to see. What level of support? What is it that you want from us? Is it continual funding, and in exchange for that, what is it that you want? But I think right now, at this meeting, the good thing that we have is that we now have a clear priority as to what we're going to do with those funds.
In our monthly reports that we've been doing, we look at the schedule, and the place is booked solid. And then somebody would say, oh, nobody's ever using the field.
Well, I think that's what I'd like to see. I was talking to Brian before the meeting. I haven't seen any of those reports, so I'd like to be forwarded to those reports, and I'm sure the council would like to see those reports as well.
Yeah, I have one thing that, and Mark, you just mentioned the fact that it's completely booked. The problem that I have with it is that the majority, we're all responsible for our constituents on various different levels. The one that I get consistently is right around the time of football season when there's lack of fields. And, you know, I think I've discussed this with you where, you know, youth football has been kicked off in Eco Park because they say it's a soccer field. You know, for me, I have huge heartburn with regards to that because it's a multi-sport agency. And so, you know, when I look at it in terms of that, and I'm responsible to one constituent on one side that says, doesn't soccer have enough facilities? It is. It's built in a $2 million built what are they doing in basketball? And I get the support with the kids that's there. I mean, I'm 100% behind that. I understand there's a huge overflow of kids. You know, the big difference is that it's hard to justify on one side saying why I support one thing, but, you know, you don't give to the other side.
And I want to ask you a question concerning Apple. As part of the JPA, the priority of fuel usage is revenue generating events, Taos Municipal School events, everyone else. The Apple takes place in the fall, high school soccer season. We start like every other sport except for football, the second Monday in August. We had over 90 kids, between the two programs, boys and girls, varsity and JV. And so I think that's where it's coming in, is that the fall season is, by terms of the JPA, we have priority. We're in season.
Well, and I think that's something that, you know, even within, I mean, I have a way easier time selling it to individuals to support it on other levels. And I'm saying to say that you get Apple involved too, make them start raising money towards the use of this field. You know, because if you make them feel like they're included, then they're more likely to start contributing. But at this point, they're like, well, it's hands off to us, so why are we going to do it?
We support the Apple 100%, but you also have baseball constituents when they're going to get some support, right?
Well, we get it all the way around. You know, and for me, it's saying, okay, I like the option of saying let's bring the turf in. But at the same point, I see the other option of saying, well, can we hold out just a little bit longer and maybe include Taos Little League so that the next field has multi-use. You know, I've seen the shot sports models where they put a baseball field, a soccer field,
Right.
and a football field all combined into one field. You know, yeah, it gets a little bit bigger. You don't get the FIFA rating, but we have the FIFA rating.
We don't need 2 people.
We don't need to agree.
And that was actually
we
a
looked at
multi-use
that
field.
exactly.
Field 3, one of the updated designs was the third field was going to be that combination of baseball, I don't know if it's baseball, softball, or baseball and soccer. So that multi-use.
Well, and as you guys know, I supported this heavily. It's one of the platforms that I ran on when I ran for office was the TSA, and I do support it 110%. You know, if there's anything I can do to continue to harvest its inception and what it means to this community, what it means to you guys. I mean, you guys are doing it as a volunteer basis, so it means something to you. Or you wouldn't do it, you wouldn't care about it. So for me, it says that I'm glad that we have individuals that are involved, that care about it, that foster the idea of seeing this thing through to completion. And for me, that's, I mean, the overall picture. If I can have it my way today, I mean, I wish we could have some large coaches, sponsorships that would, you know, even sponsor one field. And that's their baby. Allow them to advertise and do whatever they want.
We're working on it.
You know, and so, you know, I look at things like that and say, you know, why in 20 years can't we have a sports medicine facility there that, you know, works on teams all year long because there's teams here all year long.
And it's tied into UNM
Exactly.
for careers.
So I guess the one thing for me is just saying, you know, coming into an election season, anytime you come in and Mayor CORDOVA is running around the council of paper, and you start hearing the rumblings out there saying, you know, it's almost a touchy subject when you bring it in. That's one reason I never ran for school board, was because
It's not that much of a mess.
It's political suicide. Because the one thing you can't do, and if you feel like having, you know, terms with parents, the one thing you don't screw with is your kids. And so the one thing that I always looked at is saying, well, once election season comes around, is that you want to make sure that you're catering to all sides, which I think we've done a good job of with regards to the youth complex and the Eco Park. I'm just saying now, let's start involving other individuals.
We would love to, that's what we were discussing.
And even if it's weekend events, you know, I get that in some areas it's going to entangle into what you guys are scheduling. But if we can start involving other members of this community beyond just the soccer family, then I think we can sell the idea on everything else to make things really easy.
We know that if we had a second field, it would be fully scheduled as well. And we don't disagree with anything you said there.
Well, I think the hard part is as well, I know you guys, I think a lot of it's gonna come within the data and what you guys bring to us. I know we've seen it, the GRT, I mean, we see the bumps. Would I love to say that all that 8.175% is ours? Yes. But, we get fractions of that time. The majority goes to the city. And, the county gets some. And that's why we feel all within this is saying, look, the county's willing to spend $1.8 million on a dispatch facility, but yet they don't give back to any other program that the city, gives back to, our library, the Eco Park. These are all viable entities within our community. It benefits the entire community as a whole. And what TSA means is maybe bringing families here that would eventually move here. But I see opportunities in there, the rush sports. Why isn't that an inbound, to say, look, we are rush sports. There's kids that come here during the season, and maybe they're from somewhere close by us, or close to sports, and not even knowing that there's a rush sport.
Well, so I think, I need to be to the next meeting, so, I think that this is a productive meeting. We got, clear direction from the council. Is there anything else?
Just one.
You guys want to continue? Mayor Pro Tem can continue the meeting, but, I need to get.
No, we appreciate it. Just-
Yeah,
Let's continue for a little bit.
I'm fully supportive, and I think, the thing is we got some direction from the council. So we'll start that meeting on the 28th.
So if I can set something up, we'll do some more research, if we can figure out a way to, do we want to talk to Dr. Weston or in front of the school board when we do this approach? I don't know.
I'd be happy to approach, I think, school board. Yeah.
Not Dr. Weston, right to the school board.
This is going to be a policy decision.
Okay.
So I'd be happy to go ahead
That'd
and
be great. That'd be great. And we'll take that time to develop that.
If we need to meet prior to that?
Yes.
Just to strategize on everything.
Absolutely. Keep trying.
And back to that,
Thanks.
28. Back to that second soccer field and the idea of, taking the street turf that's laid out all over the state and bringing it in. Though it's a good idea, again, the number one concern again is, do we now become a little bit less proactive in trying to bring a real field anymore? And number two, of course, as Oscar mentioned, this is an eco park that's supposed to be water friendly. And what would be the water demand for that field if we have a
And for a purple line, on it, 10-inch sewer line down over there on the.
Yeah, but just food for thought, but your business plan, as I think it could be clearly tells us that we not only need the second field, but eventually we need the third field, and so,
Well, that falls into, the thought of district, but going forward, and this is the transition that you question of what's that long-term goal. And a couple of those things is that if we can, I'll say, pull the district off, that creates, new board, new funding, and everything else that releases other entities of that amount of money if we can do it. And then you have Plan B. If that can't happen, we're going to have something to continue to go forward, but it still encompasses, school and the county. We really believe that. It's just the burden can't be on the town alone. But right now, we're talking about partnerships, and then we talked to some big name sponsors, and they're going, well, gee, this one failed. Well, we've come up with a couple of different ideas, approaches onto, even though we only have one field, that we may be able to create a program for some different naming rights, for lack of another term, that will be larger than just one field, that allow, pick Apple to come here and do something, or Chevy, or Chevy being the lead, and say, and it's broader than just one field.
well, Bacon Field. Let's get Bacon on board. The early bird gets the worm, and that's a serious note. It's a true statement that everybody's gonna be after his money. Let's consider him a partner and see if we can collaborate.
Well, there's several different avenues we're going down in that regard, yes.
Well, I would like to say that, I'm 100% fully committed to seeing this thing through. As long as I sit on council, and even beyond that, I'll do whatever I can to ensure it's going forward. Because I think the, active kids are responsible for it. You know, so I think when we look at this as a whole, as community leaders, is saying, look, I mean, and my whole entire platform has always been a foundation of our kids in the future. So, you know, our kids need to be at the forefront of everything that, you know, any decision that we make. I mean, I need to see it through for the next 50 years, not the next, you know, 2, 3, 4 years. And I think the Eco Park is a huge step in that direction because it's not going anywhere. And we're looking at it. So, you know, and we have this huge investment into it. So why not see it through to its conclusion? You know, I want to see it done, and I want to see it done right. I always say, you know, community infrastructure projects that we do, I'd rather see a mile of paving done right than 10 miles done wrong. And it's no different than this with Eco Park. I'd rather see it developed in a proper fashion than to come back and say, well, no, we got to expense another $50,000 to correct what we could have done right the first time, but we didn't have funding.
Right.
So, you know, I think that a lot of it's going to come through huge community collaboration. And it's really, and I don't know how it can be done, but I think, you know, for me, it's always saying a marketing campaign. You know, much like the natural gas industry has combated, you know, fracking, and with their terms of saying, well, these are the facts, and let people make their mind about it. You know, it's no different than what you guys do as the TSA is saying, look, there may be some opposition out there as to why we're doing it, but here are the facts. This is what we generate. This is what we bring in. This is our potential. And nobody can argue with that. You know, and that's something that I think we're giving you guys the opportunity now to lay the groundwork for, to get the history behind you, so that when it comes up, you know, much like Councilor Rick said, let's see that 280,000 feet. You know, if it's there, if it supports, and we can sustain without physically needing to put it back into the property where it was supposed to be, then I'm all for it. But, you know, at the same point, I don't want to do anything that's going to detriment the field, you know, for the sake of you know, just.
Right. We have
building
really
money.
like that grass turf idea because of the water requirements and the way it gets beaten up and all the rest of it. But somebody offered us something for free, we had to discuss it.
Well, and you by all means, you know, do it. I mean, you could even, I mean, there's even turf out there now that is extreme drought tolerant, that is low water usage.
Right, and you could use cistern so that you're gonna keep some of it from evaporating your.
And collect some of that. You know, I mean, there's huge opportunity when you're having drainage issues because it was running into the field. So can we divert it?
We have to keep it.
You know, there's always going to be, you know, opportunities. That's how we get that. The biggest thing. But just know that, you know, I as one councilor fully support it. I'll do everything I can to make sure that we see it through 100%. Because I don't like to see unfinished problems. You know, and when I ran for office, you know, it was something that, you know, I wouldn't say we don't make promises, but we laid out our platforms as to what we'd like to see done. And for me, one of them was saying, I'd love to see this soccer complex completed. You know, obviously within the financial times that we're in, it's a little bit, you know, stretched and it's a hard thing to do. But I think if we lay the platform to get it there and we lay the pavement to get the road there in the right direction, then, you know, we've all done our part to say, you know, long after we're done, you know, and I hope in 25, 30 years that this thing is a thriving little hub for Taos that, you know, really focuses on the outdoor sports activities.
That's our natural resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what we have.
We need to develop what is, we already have as a natural resource. That's our point. Thank you for your comments, those are great. Although you young guys talking about 30 years out, I'm not.
Everyone has other schedules, so we really appreciate your time and support, and if there are other things that are.
No, maybe what I should do is just circulate that letter we got from Doug back in November.
You can call, right.
Yeah, and the reason I hadn't done that is because I would scare everybody. You know, the numbers that he had there for some of these costs and stuff.
The first time.
That, yeah, that was, you know.
Then there was a second,
Well, it was talk, so it would be great, so, in a way, what I want to do, kind of put that in your hands for you to work with Doug about an estimate. Because, you know, when we asked him for it, he wants thoughts.
Me too.
There may be two avenues in which to address that, but please forward.
Yeah, can I ask one question real quick? And that's with regards to the locker rooms, and I've seen this at other complexes that I've been to across the state and across the country, is that cities or organizations will invest in like a 53-foot semi-trailer that, you know, facilitates both men's and women's locker rooms with restroom facilities. Yeah, it's portable, but at the same time, the city can capitalize on using it multiple events also. So let's say the Marlins you
You could
know,
move the locker over to.
to kick.
Wow,
So,
interesting idea.
it's a
Like
concept.
the movie set theater, the movie,
Yeah, yeah,
theater.
right.
The trailer, yeah.
And there's plenty, and for us, it's an asset that we have. I mean, as long as we upkeep it and take care of it. I mean, obviously, there's probably a lifespan to it, but maybe in the interim, it would get us to the point. I wouldn't foresee that type of an operation, or that type of a system, costing more than maybe $50, $60 a square foot, because it is portable. But at the same point, now they're making them, I've been into some that are, granite countertops, and it's all portable.
You should see some of the Winnebagos in Minnesota that go ice fishing.
Wow. So, I mean, it's just one other option, and that way we can utilize it in multi-aspects.
We'll explore all of it. I've been in contact with a couple of these companies, and I didn't want to take it any further, not knowing if I was wasting my time or not, so.
I mean, figure the fact that if we could pick up one of those trailers right now for $125,
We're set
and we're set for the next at least 5 years, until we figure out the funding for permanent.
We'll do some research and show you what we come up with.
Yeah. Okay. And
You have a comment?
moving forward that letter.
Yeah, well, we all got it. I mean, it was a thing from Doug. It's for the bottom line of $500,000.
I didn't see it. I don't remember seeing it. But-
Oh, I don't think I saw that, because I would have remembered it, something like that.
Anyway, I'll do that.
They're different
The
animals.
only question I did ask was, are we obligated to use Doug or not?
Well, we use somebody else, it costs more.
Some of these places have architects that are on staff,
Yeah.
and they do all that
In-house
stuff, and they
design.
barely charge you for it because they're trying to
Sell a product.
sell a product.
Well, it depends on how you approach it. There's a total turnkey, where you tell them, you give us a.
Stamp.
No, you say, you give us the product and the key, then you do your own architecture.
Design, build,
everything.
deliver, install.
Design, build, yeah. Now, if on the other hand, we're in the design build, if they're bad, no.
No, I'm not talking about
So
that.
the one thing I guess I would ask, and Brian, you probably have to give me clarification, on, but what I'd love to see is that, well, yeah, we own the complex, or we own the fields, we own, pretty much everything that's there with the exception of the JP partnership with the schools.
You don't have to do it.
Is there a way that we can partnership or turn that over to you guys? And you guys build it out, you do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, knowing that, the retention of anything that gets built there.
That's kind of what we're doing, I think. It's nothing that,
But I mean, without the red tape, like you said,
nah, it's gonna be too difficult. The JPA spells out all the rules. I think it gives us a lot of latitude, though. The JPA was written very flexible.
So what about with this thing with the advertising? You guys been able to
It's written
become
in that we can do that.
self-sufficient?
We changed our contracts already. You
They're
not only
reinvented it.
may, you must.
Yes.
They can feel, I'm telling you.
Well, not only that, but okay, so, flight quite a bit, most of the time it's connecting flights out of Denver and then back to Albuquerque, which I don't know why they do that, but flying over Taos, you see the Eco Park. And,
You do?
Yeah, and it's the craziest thing, because, if you saw a Verizon logo or a Coca-Cola logo or something like that, what's the best, form of advertising?
Put a sign facing up, I didn't realize.
Yeah, from the ground up, and we're in a direct flight path with Denver. So there's some options there.
Good point. I never thought of that.
But I'll take you up, man.
So, I mean, there's some opportunities that you could, because at the bottom line, I talked with people at one point at some of the national conferences that I went to with regards to sponsorship of fields and whatnot. And they said the biggest thing is that, we're in everything. It's not that we're not, but it's what we get back out of it. A lot of times they want to be community partner players, but at the same point, like every business, what's our return on investment?
We've had some dialogue going forward that's, Chevy's been on the table, and perhaps Red Bull or Adidas, and, we're all looking, nobody's jumping to conclusions yet. What are we getting out of it? How much do you want for it? So we're still negotiating some of that, we're still developing that concept.
I think we're in a kind of great position because it's one of 6 FEMA buildings?
One of 37 two-stars worldwide, I think one of 7 or 8 in North America, because I think there's one down in Mexico, if I remember correct. I did the research a couple of years ago.
I mean, and I think that's crazy.
Yeah,
No,
no.
it's here in Taos. That, we have it in our backyard. Facilities that, pro players just, thrive or look to play. So why not get them? We can get some movement.
And just, talking with the NCAA coaches getting me back after this spring. They said, we really need locker rooms, and so that is becoming our.
So-
Especially for regular season, I mean,
Short-term
like,
priority.
one of the things that Robin Grossman relayed to us, Robin is a Taos High grad, and he is one of the assistant women's coaches at Air Force Academy. And basically Robin said, the only way we'll play regular season is you gotta have locker rooms.
So one thing I guess I would ask too is that, I mean, we have the lights on the field, and a lot of these NCAA games, and, you know, we've talked about it as a council, is saying, okay, the GRT revenue is great, you know, they fill it with gas, they get the snacks, and then they go home. Can we make some of these games nighttime, so we force you to stay?
And it's kind of their, I mean, what gets hard with that is, especially regular season, is it's really their call, because at the end of the day, they still are student athletes. The coaches have concerns
Most
about,
of them are Saturday games.
well, no, they'll play midweek, and quite honestly, with the way these BCS conferences got blown out, I mean, you got West Virginia going to Oklahoma for a Thursday night basketball game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting nuts, but and coaches realize that, but, you know, they have to balance their schedule. And one of the concerns we have is we do have the lights, but we're on the power handle watts, however you measure it, is under illuminated. Having coach games there at night, if you go next fall, go there for a night game, just, you know, you lose the ball. I mean, there's parts from the coaching area, I lose the ball in the corners. It's, you know, it's good, it's great for high school, and you know, and for high school, we're happy as clams. But in terms of at that next level,
So
I
can that
don't-
be tweaked within the lights without having that?
We tried to correct it before it went in, you know, the 1 mile versus the 10 miles done wrong.
Mhm.
We tried to correct that issue before it was built, but we got overridden that they were spending money on lights, and it was a waste of money not to do it correctly the first time.
Just like the high school, you know, should have been part of the plan, should have already been in there.
So we have the lights now going in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but after that.
After that. Okay, well, you know, that's
So
where we stand,
either-
you know,
yeah.
it's spilled milk under the bridge, is that the expression?
It's my understanding on the answer to the question, and Mark may have better information, we could upgrade the lights, but it is a significant dollar amount. There's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to go on, and I don't know the details. All I remember is hearing the 2-line summary was, yeah, you can do it, but you don't write a big check.
So,
So the best information, the information we have from Doug, I just handed it to him.
Okay, right.
Including the recommendation we made to the council back in July.
That's
Sort
right.
of the standing direction we have for the meetings.
But let's regroup, let's rejuvenate, and let's move forward, and we know that our number one priority are those locker rooms.
So
And maybe the press box behind it.
So let me ask a dumb question here. In terms of continuing an open dialogue, do we do meetings like this, or is it at town council presentations, or is it one-on-one because you can't meet together and talk, or?
I'd say the workshops probably work better because it's focused on this.
Is this a problem for you to have a workshop every
Every
couple
quarter
months or
or
once a
whatever,
quarter
every
so we
few
can
months.
keep this going? I know we can talk to you individually, but I like this, you know, yeah, I like the ideas.
This, I think, format works better than.
You want to set a date now for the next meeting? I mean, there you go.
All right, time to go.
All right, well, okay.
Counselor?
No, I understand it, so, yeah.
So we get like every couple of months.
Next quarter.
First week of March? Last week of
Well,
February?
I'm thinking February,
And remember, doing it in March is a good thing, because you may have a new elected body, and you may need their reaffirmation, or you may have the same folks coming back and keep moving forward.
So does that mean we should just wait?
No, I would schedule one later March,
Okay.
regardless of who's there.
Mark, I'll remind you that you do have a quarterly presentation due once a quarter to the council, separate from what you're talking about here, but you did it in November, it'll be due again in February, March.
Well, maybe that quarterly could be rolled in
Yeah.
to the workshop.
Yeah.
You
Why not? Yeah, I would rather
We
see
can do
that.
the presentation, because this is an official meeting, so we can do the
Yeah.
presentation.
And then
That's perfect.
we can work through that quarterly.
Okay.
at the same time.
So March, the first Tuesday in March? I mean, this is.
Isn't that the
Tuesday.
election?
First Tuesday would be election.
Maybe, I don't care.
Do the week after, the 11th or the 18th?
Yeah, I mean, the date doesn't matter.
Well, the first week in March is election Tuesday, so you're not.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying, so the 11th or the 18th are the
Yes,
next two.
that'd be fine.
So I'd say the 18th.
All right.
Yeah, a couple of weeks there.
I'll be here.
Either way.
I'm hoping to be here.
I won't be here.
For at least the next 2 years, I'll be here.
Are we gonna entertain you as a county commissioner at that point? Or that's not till June?
That's a-
Actually, I decided that I'm gonna come and join Jeff at every meeting.
You're gonna be the new Jeff.
It's too bad. We're
Yeah.
just so bad to stop that.
Oh boy, this is getting recorded, guys.
I'm gonna call you Doncito in a second.
No, I'll be giving some positive comments. How's that?
Okay.
All right.
Right, thank you all.
Well, thank you very much. You've got some good direction we were hoping for.
Can we do it all over again, because I'm disappointed.
There's videotape.
Just get back to the tape.
There were no votes, but lots of really good support and good
You can
ideas.
watch
All right.
the reruns.
Okay, councilors, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I had to be on the record somehow.
You just did that.
Thank you, sorry.
I made it for that. Sorry.
Thank you. That's all right.